Hello, everyone. It's Barron, Director of Skincare Research at Paulos Choice Skincare, here for this week's live chat. It is September 19th. It's Thursday. If you're here with me live, you know the date and time. Good for you. I recognize, though, that not everyone can make it for the live broadcast, which is why you're invited anytime after we're done to leave additional comments or questions, and either myself or the team will come back and check them out and see if we can help you out. So today we're starting something, I guess you could say, a little different. First of all, we got the live chat to work without any significant delays or hiccups. Last week was kind of a debacle, but we muddled through as best we could. What we're going to start to do, though, is have the first half of this hour be themed, in essence, not just essences as in skincare. So we're going to go through a list of skincare categories, and then likely we're going to move on to different ingredients where I can basically take a deeper dive, explore things a bit further with you, and then I'll be looking for questions in the first half of the show that are specific to the main topic that we're discussing. So if you have another question that is off topic but still skincare, beauty related, feel free to post it, but just know that I'll get to those questions, as many as I can, in the second half of the show. That, I guess you could say, that is the Ask Me Anything type section. Hopefully I will not be too loopy today. I've been experimenting with different bed pillows. I've really, this is like been 18 month, probably 20 month experimentation where I had a down alternative pillow. And if you've ever had or used one of those, or if you use one now, they're good at first, but then, at least in my experience, and I bought a nice one. It was from Macy's, the hotel collection. I have several products from that lineup. I think it's good and durable, but it just didn't hold up very well. After about 6 months, it started to get all lumpy, and I was constantly waking up with like cricks in my neck. And I thought, okay, I've got to go back to a down pillow, which is what I was using before. But I don't necessarily trust that the down and the feathers are obtained as humanely as most of the brands say they are. Maybe they are. Maybe I'm just being a little overreactive about it. But I was trying to stay away from down, but I went back and tried a few from reputable brands, and it was either like too thick or too thin. It just, like, I feel like Goldilocks trying to find that perfect pillow, that one that's just right, not too hot, not too cold. And I haven't yet. I think I'm coming closer. But anyway, as a quick aside, if you guys have pillow recommendations, I'm open. But let's talk about cleansers. I will get to cleanser questions. I see that there are some getting peppered in there. Thank you for being excited about the new mask, Megan. We're excited for you to try it. That did just launch today, the Super Hydrate Overnight Mask. Really kind of a cool formula, a lot of natural ingredients, very soothing, very hydrating. Anyway, cleansers. Cleansers is what we're here to talk about. So we're limiting this, for the point of this discussion, to facial cleansers. Not surprisingly, given the variation in human skin types and personal preference, the category of facial cleansers is the largest in terms of variety. You just don't see the same degree of variety in the category of body washes, for example. Not counting like all the different fragrance versions they come in, because fragrance isn't skincare. But cleansers are typically, for facial cleansers, you will have anything from as thick as a cream or a balm to an oil, a milk, a gel, a foaming cleanser, a low foaming cleanser, a non-foaming cleanser. There are even more bar cleansers coming on the market, and although I'm still personally not a big fan of bar cleansers, I'm not a fan of bar soap if we're talking like a pure soap period. And I hope that that you guys aren't either. And it's not my opinion on that as much as it is what the research has shown to be true about a classic, from a chemistry standpoint, soap. They're drying. They are alkaline. They can cause significant barrier disruption, and they can also and often do leave a residue or film on the skin that over time will build up. And what that means with that film there, that you think you're cleaning your face and it's kind of redepositing some of that gunk. I always tell people to think about like that if you use a bar soap in your shower and that ring that can kind of form around the bottom of the shower or your tub. That's happening on your face too when you use a classic bar soap. But some of the bar cleansers, we'll start there. They're what's called Syndet bars, synthetic detergent, and the most popular form would be Dove Classic Beauty Bar. It's been around for a long, long time. If you are a fan of bar cleansers, it's one of the better ones to use. It's still not ideal, but it is definitely formulated to minimize the risk of dryness because those Syndet bars tend to have a higher surfactant load or surfactant concentration than a water-soluble cleanser, which are the type that we offer at Paulos Choice. What do I mean by Syndet? What do I mean by surfactant? Surfactant is kind of a combination of surface, active, and agent, and they are sometimes also called detergent cleansing agents. I try to avoid that term because the word detergent, while chemically accurate, tends to be strongly associated with doing your laundry. And I don't want you to think of, people tend to think of laundry detergent or dish detergent as being harsh and drying. And that is not true for well-formulated facial cleansers that use detergent cleansing agents, otherwise known as surfactants. So surfactants are interesting ingredients because essentially they work in different ways, but they have a common goal, and they all essentially achieve the same result, which is to mix with oil and water and be able to emulsify and hold what you want removed from the surface of your skin. Makeup ingredients, sunscreen, excess oil, surface debris, dust, grime, everything that our face is exposed to in a given day, and allow it to be rinsed away. I'm going to silence my phone. And that is essentially how surfactants work. And there is a wide variety of them, from the sulfates to the anionic, the anionic surfactants are a group. There are the, I'm blanking out on an amphoteric surfactants, which are milder. Then there are some surfactants that are better at removing a lot of oil than others. Sodium lauryl sulfate, which is the one you are likely avoiding. There's a lot of bad press about sodium lauryl sulfate. It is not nearly as harmful as you've probably read online, but it is still a very drying detergent cleansing agent. It's just, it's very good at what it does, and really, in essence, too good, too thorough, too deep cleansing to use on most people's faces. Now, there are some cleansers out there, Cetaphil, original formula, probably the best example, where a very, very low amount of sodium lauryl sulfate is mixed with emollient type ingredients and fatty alcohols, the different type of emollient like thickeners that they essentially buffer that detergent cleansing agent. So we've never cautioned too much about it being in Cetaphil lotion cleanser. It's not great to see it there. Not a big fan of that formula given it's just dated technology, and there's a lot better cleansing technology available today, not just from Paulos Choice, from a lot of brands. So let me take a look and see if I can get some questions here. So far, why so many? Rafa Fan says, why do so many companies use a ton of glycerin in cleansers? I find it leaves a sticky film behind. Well, Rafa, glycerin can leave a sticky film behind if there's a lot of it in the formula. We use glycerin in several of our cleansers, several of which I've used. I have my favorites from our line. The Moisture Boost and the Defense Hydrating Gel to Cream Cleanser are my two favorites, kind of neck and neck. And then I'm also a big fan of the Unscrub, and I never thought I would say I was a fan of any type of scrub, even though what we came out with is very cool. Oh, and very exciting, actually. We just found out this week, it's official, it's out there, it's happening. The Unscrub won the Allure Fall 2019 Best of Beauty Award in the category of face scrub. Woohoo! I always find it, still kind of mind-blowing when a well-known, well-respected publication like Allure, and I know it's on their website too, allure.com, knows about our products and sings their praises, and it's not something that we pay for. It's not a pay to play type thing. It's just like they judged that product on its own merits and deemed it to be, worthy of that, which is kind of cool. Okay, so glycerin in cleansers. It is water soluble, which is one of the reasons it's included. It can hydrate and soften the skin during the cleansing process. One of the things to keep in mind about even the most gentle cleansers is that to one degree or another, those cleansing agents, in order for them to work, they have to cause some amount of barrier disruption. It's whenever you're formulating a cleanser, it is always a balancing act, trying to come up with a mix of surfactants, soothing agents, supporting ingredients like gentle and conditioning emulsifiers that will do the job that we want and need cleansers to do without taking too much away from skin. There's the barrier has those vital ingredients, your ceramides, your glycerin, your hyaluronic acid, cholesterol, glycosaminoglycans, sodium PCA, different amino acids, mucopolysaccharides. Those are all part of what creates a healthy, intact barrier, and the stronger your barrier is, the better your skin will look, the better it will act, the better it will be able to withstand everything that life throws at it. So keeping the barrier intact and healthy is cardinally important in skincare, but so is cleansing. So the compromise is to formulate with lower amounts of more than one surfactant. That can be one way to go, so that you're not giving your skin too much of any, but it's that synergy between them that gives you that cleansing with optimal gentleness. But even then, some amount of barrier disruption is going to occur, so you have to account for that in your cleanser formula. It's also one of the reasons I'm a big advocate of using a toner after cleansing, because a well-formulated toner is going to give back to skin what even the gentlest and best formulated cleansers can take away, at least to some degree. What should never happen, though, with a cleanser, whether it's from Paulos Choice or another brand, whether it says soap-free, sulfate-free, whatever the label says, any cleanser you use should not leave your skin feeling tight or dry. It shouldn't feel like it's a size too small. After you cleanse, you shouldn't feel like, compelled to put moisturizer on just so your skin feels normal again. Now, you want to go through your routine as usual, but you should be able to take a moment after cleansing and think, my skin feels soft, smooth, and refreshed. Now I'm ready to move on to the rest of my routine, but I'm not reaching for all these hydrating products because my cleanser was stripping my skin. So, all right, let's see. Gotta find a new question about cleansers. TerraCycle. Katie says, hi, I love the cleansing oil. I also regularly use the Defense Cleanser and Resist Perfectly Balanced Foaming Cleanser. So you have a cleanser wardrobe. That can be great to do. The cleansing oil is a great option for anyone, who likes doing a double cleanse. If you wear heavier makeup, if you wear mineral sunscreens, which a lot of us do, I do, I will sometimes do a double cleanse with our Perfect Cleansing Oil followed by my regular cleanser. Another thing that I've done is I will take a makeup remover, like the Gentle Touch formula we offer, and go over my face with a cotton pad, soak a cotton pad with that, go over my face, and then cleanse. But for the most part, I find that my cleansers tend to remove what I put on my face pretty well. And like, for example, my sunscreen is tinted, And whenever I go over my face with my beloved Resist Advanced Replenishing Toner afterwards, it is rare that I see any traces of that tint on the cotton pad, which of course is your visual signal that you got it all off with your cleanser. Okay. Asking about pad. Well, you know, if we don't have enough cleanser questions, we're not just going to keep gabbing about cleansers. Maybe it's not the most exciting category, but it is an essential one. Okay. Accidents in sunscreen. That's an interesting question from Roel. We'll have to get back to that. Bryan's secret wish list for innovative products. I absolutely have some of those in mind, but it's a secret. I can't share it with you guys yet. I wish I could. Florence says, Bryan, you guys really have to replace all over hair and body shampoo package. It's not that friendly. What, thank you for the feedback. What are you not liking about it? Is it the flip cap? Is it breaking off? Is the bottle not squeezing very well? Give me a little bit more detail and I will pass that on to our packaging team. We are always looking at new packaging options. We go to the shows, we meet with vendors. Our goal is to continually improve our packaging in both look and more importantly, really, at least to me, is functionality. And by functionality, I also mean that it protects the integrity of the formula itself. Hugely important. But we don't want packaging that does that, but is cumbersome or irritating every time you go to use it, because who looks forward to that, right? Oh, Nancy gave me a pillow recommendation. Bless you. Okay, I'm not seeing any more cleanser questions. Okay. Trying to think if there's anything else insightful. One of the other things I could share with you about the topic of facial cleansers, and I guess this would go for body cleansers and shampoos for that matter, is that a lot of people, I'm one of them, have to believe that a cleanser needs to produce lather in order to work, in order to be effective. There are some lathering ingredient or some cleansing agents, some surfactants that do produce lather on their own, but typically the ingredients that produce lather, they're collectively often referred to as foam boosters. They actually have little ability to cleanse the skin. It's just that tactile sensation and kind of satisfying that psychological need that a lot of us have, that just kind of comes from experience of thinking, if a facial wash doesn't lather, then it's not really getting me clean enough. I need to see those bubbles. So that is why most such products have those ingredients in there, but it is not necessarily true that the more a cleanser lathers, the better it is at cleansing. And cleansing oils as a category are a great example, because most cleansing oils, and more of them, can be mixed with water and rinsed easily, which is hugely important. I mean, if you want to check the difference out for yourself, buy a modern day cleansing oil from a skincare brand, wash one side of your face with that, pat dry, leave the other side of your face unwashed, and then pour just a plain plant oil, like olive oil or canola oil or whatever you have on hand that doesn't have fragrance in it, and then wash your face. Now that oil is going to break down the sunscreen and the makeup and kind of cause it to be ready to be rinsed away, but because of the lack of emulsifiers, it's not going to rinse easily. Your skin's gonna feel greasy afterwards. It's gonna be not so pleasant. Everybody's like, the cleansing oils rarely lather, but they can cleanse very thoroughly. I mean, if you think of some of the heavy-duty, long-wearing formulas, makeup-wise, that they can ably remove without any lather, that should tell you right there that it doesn't take lather even a little bit to clean the skin. But obviously, a lot of us love our lather, and that is why so many water-soluble formulas have lather agents added to them to give you that tactile experience that you're looking for while still rinsing cleanly. The other thing that I thought would be kind of fun to mention about cleansers is that you've probably noticed, if you, especially at the drugstore, if you're down up and down the skincare aisle like I am, a lot more micellar cleansers on the market, and they're often positioned as makeup removers, which is great because most micellar waters work really well to remove makeup. And they don't require, for the most part, they don't require much rubbing or agitation. Like you could just soak a cotton pad with a micellar water, hold it against your eye and kind of like pat, maybe just move it gently back and forth like this. Great advice whenever you're removing eye makeup. The skin around here is so thin. Anytime you see that skin moving, you are making, one more domino down, so to speak, in terms of helping the skin to sag. Don't help your skin do something that it will eventually do on its own years and years later. Let's not hasten that process. Always be gentle with the skin around your eyes. True for skin anywhere on your body, but especially true for the skin around your eyes. What's kind of interesting, though, about the way micellar waters work is that if you look at the micelle molecule, like a lot of surfactant molecules, it has a water-loving tail and an oil-loving tail. And that means it can kind of give you the best of both worlds in terms of removing what is water-soluble on your skin and what is oil-soluble. But what's interesting about the micelles in micellar water is that they form little bubbles, essentially. And the oil-soluble portion of it actually kind of gets drawn in to that bubble, and then it kind of like locks it in there. So you've got the oil or the makeup or the other solventy type ingredients that you want off the surface of your skin, and it's trapped in that little bubble, and then you can just wipe it away, or you can rinse it off. But because it gets trapped in there, and quite thoroughly, that is why most micellar waters don't need to be rinsed. And now you know. All right, let's get back to questions. Okay, Dan's Alex says, hola Bryan, could you talk more about TerraCycle? It's a great effort and I think it should be promoted more clearly on PC webpage. It took me a while to find it and subscribe. Duly noted, thank you for the feedback. Yes, we did recently announce our partnership with TerraCycle that here in the States, may cover Canada as well, I'd have to double check. We have, just as a quick aside, we have some key players behind the scenes that are essentially Paulos Choice sustainability and environmental impact experts. And they're doing a fantastic job in bringing the entire company up to speed in that regard, and just some of the changes that we've made internally, and even how we source ingredients. We made a commitment to not use plant ingredients that are in danger of becoming unsustainable. That's a new criteria for us. But TerraCycle essentially allows you sign up for this program and you can send all of your Paulos Choice empties, regardless of how tiny they are, regardless of what type of plastic it is or glass. You can put them in your Paulos Choice box, just reuse the box that we ship the products to you in, set that aside. And TerraCycle, when you sign up and you're ready to send some product back to them, it doesn't even have to be all the way empty and it doesn't have to be washed, from what I understand. You can print a label and it's free of charge for you as the customer. And then you ship it to TerraCycle, and then they will recycle them as they should be recycled in terms of you can be assured with TerraCycle that when you send your products into them, that nothing is going to go into the landfill. They will find a way to recycle it one way or the other. So it's a really, really cool program. I'm sure there are some other skincare brands participating, but off the top of my head, I can't think of any. But like I said, there's got to be at least a handful of other brands that are doing this. But what matters, if you're a Paulos Choice fan, and you wouldn't, if you're watching, you are, at least to some degree, is that we're we're doing it, and it's a very strong statement of how our company feels, and our company is our people. You're our people. We want to do our part to create a better world, and to be mindful of how we're using resources. And it's definitely a balancing act, but we're incredibly proud of TerraCycle. You can find out about it on our site, I believe. Let me just take a quick peek here. I think if you go to pauloschoice.com, it was on the homepage briefly. And I think if you click on About Us, no, never mind. Scratch that. You don't click on About Us. Well, if you want to learn more about us, do click on that. But to find TerraCycle, scroll down from our homepage, and kind of in the middle of the screen, but towards the bottom, you'll see a section that says who we are. And then there is a link that says sustainability and recycling. And that is where, in fact, I can copy and paste this, I think, right into the stream. Dun, da, da, da. And it should show up as my little link. So if you guys want to, don't click there right now. Stay with me here and we'll get some more questions answered. But for later, there it is. Okay. Oh, Aylin says, hi Brian, what other products from Paulos Choice, in addition to the peptide booster, have peptides in them? There's quite a few. The new Super Hydrate Overnight Mask that we just launched today has an ingredient called pentapeptide 59. That's an interesting lab-engineered peptide that is modeled after, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there is a sea creature. It's not a fish, but the sea creature secretes this anti-inflammatory peptide, and so the supplier that does this ingredient used that fact as its inspiration, and then set about to recreate this peptide sequence in the lab and engineer it in a way that would be bioavailable to skin. So just to reassure you, the story of this ingredient comes from the sea and from this sea creature, maybe in, I always butcher this, anemone. I think I said that right. Stuttering a little bit, anemone. But it is not, the ingredient itself is completely lab created. It is synthetic. It is not an animal derived ingredient. You can relax about that. Other products of ours that have peptides in them, the C15 Super Booster has a peptide. There's a couple in the, there's a lot. Now that I think about it, I think Barrier Repair Moisturizer has a peptide or two. Skin Recovery Moisturizer, a lot of our moisturizers do. The Skin Recovery Super Antioxidant Serum has the palmitoyl tetrapeptide 5. I'm trying to remember all these names. Peptide names are always on the longer side. But we do pepper them throughout the peptide. We pepper the peptides throughout our line. You'll find them primarily in the leave-on anti-aging products, just as a general guideline, including some toners. The peptide booster is our single product with the greatest number of peptides in them, as well as all of them being used in concentrations slightly above what we would normally use. What's interesting about peptides is that it takes a shockingly low amount to have an impact on skin. Like 0.01% can be enough to elicit a response. But you think about other like daily objects, like what would 0.01% of a cookie look like, and you'd barely be able to see it. But when it comes to peptides in a formula, that can be enough to get through to the skin. And if it's a messenger peptide or a signal peptide, it can do the job it's supposed to do. Really cool. And because peptides are expensive ingredients, not all of them. Some of them have come down in price, but a lot of them are definitely on the pricey side. There's a general rule of thumb: the more unique they are, the more pricey they are. What a shock. All right, moving on. Megan was mentioning current thoughts on double cleansing. And with that in mind, we talked about double cleansing. I'm a fan of it if you have the need to do it. In terms of, does everybody need to double cleanse? No, I don't think so. It's something you can experiment with if you wear little to no makeup, or your makeup tends to be lightweight, and by that I mean you're applying it sheer, and your sunscreen maybe is in part mineral as opposed to being all mineral. Those mineral sunscreen ingredients can be tenacious, and then they're often blended with other ingredients, like various silicones or similar ingredients that are also tenacious. And so they can often require a little something more solvent based on the oil side to break them up, dissolve them, and allow them to be suspended and then rinsed from the skin. So my bottom line on double cleansing is that not everybody has to do it, but if you think that it could help you have a more thorough cleansing experience, you wear heavier makeup and or you wear a mineral type sunscreen that you don't think your cleanser, because some cleansers are so gentle that they're not as adept at getting all of that off as they should be. So benefit for your skin in terms of the gentleness, but depending if that's what you're using on your skin, you may need to find something that is actually a bit more thorough, and you can do that without over drying your skin. Roel says, if it were Bryan's choice and you decided all the shots, what products would you create? This kind of I mean, I definitely have some ideas. I share my ideas with the team. We're very collaborative. They share their ideas, bounce ideas back and forth. I'm really happy with where the line is right now, and how it's going to go in the next year or so. So without giving anything away, that's my honest answer in this moment. I don't think we love hearing from our customers, from our fans, what they would like to see, what they think is missing, or what they think we could do better, or more of. We're listening. But in terms of how the line stands right now, I don't think there's like a glaring omission. We've rounded out eye area products. I mean, I guess as a quick aside, I would love to see us do more body care products, just from like general body care. As a category, though, the body care doesn't do as well for us. It doesn't do terribly, but it doesn't do as well for us as our facial care. And I think that is an issue that a lot of larger skincare lines that are skincare centric, meaning that maybe we'll have some color, but we're really not a color line. At one point, we were kind of 50-50, but now it's definitely more skincare centric. But I think what a lot of facial skincare brands run into with body care is that their customers don't see the same value proposition, and we've kind of found that out to a certain degree. So even though I think we have some of the best body formulas out there, our exfoliants, the AHA and the BHA for the body, are very popular. But for example, the all over hair and body shampoo that was mentioned earlier, that does so. Ditto for the men's version, and then the replenishing body cream that we launched last year. That does okay. It's one of my favorite products. I love that product. I worked with Paula quite a bit on that to get the ingredients we wanted in there, to get the texture we wanted. I use it every day. I cannot speak highly enough about it, but at the same time, I understand that for somebody who just wants a basic body moisturizer to help stave off, signs of dry skin, not so much. Maybe you're not worried about signs of aging just yet, but you're worried about dry skin. And you can go to Walgreens or Target or Costco and pick up a giant container of Eucerin or Olay or Aveeno, one of their body lotions, which are all fine. There's really nothing wrong with those formulas if what you're looking for is just moisture. We want you to have more than that, which is why we did the replenishing body cream. But I get it. There it is. It's $8 for, a 16 ounce with a pump, and you're getting your basic emollients and hydrating ingredients, and it makes your skin feel smooth and soft, and happily on our way we go. So I get it. Okay, we covered that one. Anthony with a question about cleansers. Bryan, mi amigo, I hope you're well. What is the pH range of the What is the pH range of the PC cleansers? Anything above 7 is detrimental to the skin's barrier. I read that. Generally, yes, that's true. Our skin, in terms of pH, is naturally acidic. Depending on whose research you're looking at, in terms of what the average pH is of human skin, it ranges from 4.5 to 6. With more studies I've seen kind of citing on 5, 5.1, 5.2, which again, anything below 7 on the pH scale is acidic, anything 7 is neutral, and then anything above 7 is considered alkaline. So most bar soaps, again, classic soaps, not the detergent cleansing bars like Dove. Dove has a pH, I think it's just over 7, maybe even a little lower than that. It's been a while since I've tested their bar cleanser, but a classic old school soap like Ivory, a lot of them you'll see in the grocery store, or even Clinique's facial soaps. The bars, they're going to be pH 8, pH 9, which is too alkaline for the skin. That can cause some pretty significant and immediate barrier disruption, well beyond what a water-soluble cleanser or even a soap-free bar cleanser could do. The majority of Paulos Choice cleansers fall, I don't think anything goes below a 5. And then I don't think we have any cleansers that are perfectly pH neutral. They're all on the acidic side because it's more compatible with skin. So if I, without looking at every single cleanser formula and cross-checking the pH range, because every product has a pH range, and then the goal for the formula is for it to stay within that tolerance. It's the same thing for our AHA and BHA exfoliants. You know, they can't go beyond this pH. They can't fall below that pH, because there is such a thing as going too acid, and then that can be irritating. I always say tipping the scales. If you go too acid, you're tipping the scales in favor of irritation. There's a big difference between a pH 3 and a pH 2. It's very much like the pH, since it's a logarithmic scale, it's sort of like how earthquake strength is measured. And I would much rather, if I had to be in an earthquake again, been through them before, but if I had to do it again, I would much rather go through a magnitude 5 earthquake than a magnitude 6, and definitely not a magnitude 7, which would be considerably worse, just to give you an idea of like strength differences between pHs. So yeah, ours, I don't think any go beyond like a 6 point, maybe a 6.5. So I would say, just off the top of my head, the pH range of our cleansers would go from about 5.1 to about 6.5, which is ideal for skin compatibility. Okay, Nisepe says that I'd like to add that I'm really miffed that the 10% AHA liquid is gone for North America. The Inculus lactic acid is half decent replacement, but I wish the AHA liquid is back. Yeah, that we did make the decision to discontinue that product now that we have the Resist advanced smoothing treatment, which is a different formula and a different texture. It's still the same total amount of AHA, but yeah, if you were a big fan of the weekly resurfacing treatment, which was a liquid, I could see being disappointed that it's not there anymore. I'm sorry. I will keep this feedback in mind. I'll share it with the team. We always tabulate such feedback when something goes bye-bye, just to make sure that, did we make the right call? I mean, there's always going to be some customers that are going to miss a product that we just can't bring back for any number of reasons. I mean, talk about sustainability. There are minimums for everything that goes into a product, you know, packaging minimums, raw material minimums for every single ingredient. And it's important to us, this is like a constant system of checks and balances, to make sure that we don't have an excess of any one material or ingredient, and therefore it sits around, it sits around. Packaging is less of a concern for it because packaging has a much longer life than raw materials that are used in skincare. I hate having to like dump out of stuff that we can't use anymore because it's past its use by date. Because the product that it's in it didn't move as fast as we wanted it to. Even though it may have some vocal fans that just love it, it's that checks and balances system where you have to make sure that you're not contributing excess waste. You're still ensuring safe, effective products that are going to work as intended, and that you're not sending out products that are near their use by date. It's a balancing act. We have a whole team that has to keep track of that type of stuff. I'm glad I'm not an active part of that, but I know how it works. Monica says, hello, Brian. Happy to see you. YouTube chat. I love skin balancing and cleansing oil to remove my makeup. Skin balancing oil reducing cleanser is Paula's favorite cleanser. That is her ride or die, as they say. Love masks for oil control and cleansing. Cleaning out my pores, new mask. I'm a huge fan in Central Canada. Oh, thanks, Monica. Good to see you here. Nancy, again, thank you for the pillow tip. Carla says, why does mineral SPF make me break out? Does it clog pores? The mineral ingredients, they can have a tendency to clog pores for some people. I think part of the reason isn't so much that the daily use of them clogs pores in the amount that you're putting on every day. I think what happens, this is theory, I don't have research to back this up, it's an educated guess, but I think what's going on for some people who break out from mineral sunscreens is that they're not getting all of the mineral sunscreen off their face at night when they wash. Maybe the cleanser they're using isn't strong enough. Maybe they should be double cleansing. You know, that would be their ideal. Maybe they're not using the cleanser long enough. You want to move the cleanser around your face for a good 30 to 45 seconds before rinsing. Cleansing shouldn't be a quick job. Like if I tell my son, who's 4, to brush his teeth, he's done in 10 seconds. And he swears that he got all of his teeth. And I'm standing there and I'm like, no, Dashel, you did not. It's not possible. You're not the Flash. This didn't happen. Do it again. So same thing with washing your face. You're not going to get everything off if your whole cleansing experience is 10, 15 seconds. It needs to be a little longer than that. So what I think happens in a lot of cases is that the mineral sunscreen traces, you get that residue on your skin, just like that can happen, but not to the drying effect with bar soaps, and it builds up over time. And you're putting more product on, you're not getting all of it off. This is a daily cycle, and then eventually enough of it gets backed up into the pore that you have a clog. That's what I think is going on. The smaller, the nano-sized, or even the micronized sizes of zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, although in their pure form, they are small enough to penetrate the pore and potentially not be able to get back out. Because those nano or micronized ingredients are almost always enveloped, surrounded by a larger ingredient that cannot penetrate the pore lining, which is exactly what you want, because you want that sunscreen active to stay on the surface of skin. It's your first line of defense. If the sunscreen all disappeared, if it all just went into the body via the skin or just went deep into the pores, you'd have nothing left on your skin's surface to protect you from UV light. So those larger molecules keep the smaller, the nano-sized or the micronized minerals from penetrating into the pore, if at all. But that doesn't mean that they can't build up on the surface of skin every day and then potentially get pushed a little further into the pore as we go through our skincare routine, as we put makeup on, and so on. Rob, good question here from Mr. Rob. He says, hello, Brian. Can applying a setting mist dilute sunscreen? Yes. Yes, it can. That is why when we had our refreshing moisture mist, we did not advise putting it on over sunscreen. Could be just for that very reason. Even just spraying pure water over sunscreen, you're going to get some amount of dilution. Probably not as much as if using a facial mist, because a facial mist has other ingredients in there that could potentially disrupt the sunscreen. It's one of the reasons we say that sunscreen should be the last skincare product you apply, rather than every now and then you'll come across a brand that says sunscreen needs to go on clean skin, or it won't adhere to skin and it won't work, and if you put it on over other products it can't connect with the skin, and that just isn't true. It's just not how sunscreens work. If Probably the easiest way to debunk that is that most sunscreens work best and are the most stable in the exact same types of ingredients that go into other leave-on products. So if there was something in those other leave-on products that was keeping the sunscreen from being effective or from bonding with skin, then they wouldn't be so effective in the sunscreen formula itself. We would have to find a whole other group of ingredients to use to enable the sunscreen to work as intended when you put it on your skin. Okay. Moving along here. S.E. Rose says, I find using liquid paraffin at night on my nose stops me from getting the flaky patches as a result of the seborrheic dermatitis. I use all PC products. Cool. It's a great way to keep air off the skin. And she had a question up above. This is also from S.E. I have rosacea only my face and seborrheic dermatitis on my nose. Seborrheic dermatitis, which is that buildup of dry, flaky skin where it's dry, you see dry flakes, but you also see a lot of excess oil. So it can be confusing because typically we associate dry, flaky skin with the skin underneath being dry. And with seborrhea, the skin also looks oily. So you're like, why is this greasy and flaky at the same time? Seborrheic dermatitis is caused by a type of yeast that lives naturally on pretty much everybody's skin. It's just that for some people that yeast can overpopulate. This has to do with the microbiome, and I could go down a whole rabbit hole about that. But suffice it to say, usually in order to get seborrhea patches of that under control, you need some sort of a topical anti-yeast medicated type product or antifungal product. It can sometimes work. Even like washing your face with a dandruff shampoo, because dandruff is similar, also caused by a type of yeast. But washing your face or that affected area with like Nizoral shampoo or Head and Shoulders shampoo, just to name a couple of brands, that can help sometimes keep that overproliferation under control. So the question she had was, my nose is very oily. Will using liquid paraffin every night on my nose clog my pores? Oh, okay. Now it's making sense with the other liquid paraffin statement. Liquid paraffin, aka mineral oil, the molecular structure of it is too big to penetrate and get stuck in the pore. It just can't. Ditto for Vaseline or petroleum jelly. Petrolatum would be how it would be listed on a skincare product. The size of it is just too big. It is designed to stay on the surface and prevent moisture loss, both from the environment and from the skin itself. So it probably isn't going to feel the best. Pure mineral oil, no getting around it. It's going to feel greasy. But if you find that it is working well for you in this case, because seborrhea can be stubborn, keep doing it. And if you happen to notice you get some clogs in that area, let's talk about something else in a later chat. Rebecca says, hello, could you recommend a Paulos Choice moisturizer without retinol? Thanks. We have two moisturizers with retinol, the clinical ceramide enriched firming moisturizer and the resist barrier repair serum, and then the body moisturizer with retinol, but I'm assuming you're asking about the face. So Rebecca, let me know your skin type and I'll hone in on something more specific for you without retinol. Demi says, is it okay not to cleanse face if I don't wear makeup? I wouldn't recommend it. We get asked this sometimes. People want to know, they say, well, if I wash my face at night, why do I need to wash it again in the morning? I mean, I just went to bed, you know, I have clean sheets on. How does my skin get that dirty in the 7-8 hours I'm in bed? And it certainly doesn't get as dirty in that situation, dirty being a relative term, because most of us really aren't that dirty in our day-to-day lives. Um, it's not the Industrial Revolution anymore, where the air is thick with coal and smoke and all of that other stuff that kind of got modern industry going. The reason that you should wash your face in the morning too is to remove any residue from the products you put on the night before, and also to remove any spent dead skin cells that are kind of hanging on the surface. This is different. This is more superficial than what an AHA or BHA exfoliant does. The other thing I find, and a lot of people I've spoken with that have combination skin have found, is that if you don't remove, your skin isn't just oily during the day. It gets oily at night too. And if you wake up and your skin looks shiny or feels greasy, even in the absence of using many skincare products at night, you need to remove that excess oil in order to allow your morning skincare routine to work better. If you wear makeup and you're not getting that excess oil off, I can guarantee you're going to have a problem a couple hours later, maybe sooner, with makeup sliding off your face. So it's kind of nice to start with a fresh palette. Those are my reasons why I think cleansing in the morning can be important. However, for some people, and if you have dry skin, you may find that just like a light splashing with water, because water itself has some solvent properties, and then patting dry and putting on maybe a little toner, a little serum, kind of as a hydrating prep step, and then you move on to the rest of your morning routine, that can be fine without going through an official cleanse. But most of us will do better cleansing in the morning as well, even if we don't wear makeup. Christopher says, what are your thoughts on topical probiotic lysates? Seen a few products crop up promising anti-aging results, better barrier, less redness. I think that the lysate form of probiotic, which they take the probiotic bacterial strain and by combining it with a lysate, they make it more skin compatible, and it's an interesting way to get the benefit of some of the benefits of probiotics, certain probiotic strains, without having to use live bacteria, which isn't allowed, number one, and two, that could be potentially problematic depending on the individual bacterial balance of your skin, which referred to, I mentioned this a little bit ago, as the microbiome. So in terms, let me hash this out a bit. In terms of anti-aging, I wouldn't say probiotics, lysates or otherwise, are anti-wrinkle or are firming. Their biggest benefit in the anti-aging realm is going to be their effect at reducing inflammation and the influence they can have on creating a healthier microbiome. Is where they would have their anti-aging edge. And that goes, did you also mention, I think you did, where's Christopher's question? Better barrier, less redness. Those are much more reliable claims for probiotic lysates or prebiotics for that matter. When you strengthen your skin's microbiome, you are inherently strengthening its barrier. The majority, from what I've seen, of the probiotic, prebiotic type ingredients used in skincare today have at least some research on their anti-inflammatory benefit. And so anything you put on your skin that's anti-inflammatory definitely has the potential to reduce redness and to soothe the skin and to make it feel better, and then by extension look better. So I'm definitely a fan of them. I think they're kind of cool. I like seeing products that have more than one of that type of ingredient. There isn't a best probiotic or probiotic lysate. Having a few of them in a product, I think, would be better, just like having a blend of antioxidants is better than just relying on one. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, we have a few minutes left, about 5 minutes. Okay, where was that? Paulista, I'd like to see the shower gel in a slim bottle, similar to the facial cleanser, perhaps matching the body lotion in lilac. Okay, excellent, thank you. Daily replenishing body cream is a fantastic hand cream. Absorbs instantly and makes velvet paws. That was also from Probably. It does. I tend to get really, really dry hands, maybe because I wash them a lot, even though I try to use um, gentle cleansers for my hands. But my favorite hand cream, even though it's not labeled as such from Paulos Choice, is our Clinical Ultra Rich Body Butter. I keep a tube of that in my bedside table, that drawer there, and I'll lather that on when I get into bed, and I keep it in our TV room in a drawer in the coffee table, so that when I'm sitting there during the commercials, if I can't fast forward, it's hand cream time, and I'm moisturizing or putting that, massaging that in all over, including around my nails. Rebecca says, this is the moisturizer question. Without retinol, thank you. I'm normal to dry but sensitive. Rebecca, then our Calm Redness Relief Moisturizer for normal to dry skin, I think, would be fantastic. The Resist Intensive Repair Cream in our anti-aging line for normal to dry skin, that dark blue colored collection, that does have retinol in it as well. I was remiss not mentioning that earlier. So yeah, Rebecca, check out the Calm. I also think the Calm Serum is fantastic. It's got a brilliant mix of ceramides and some hyaluronic acid, plant-based soothing ingredients. I think that combo could be really, really great for you. And you can get sample sizes of both if you want to try before you buy. Jacopo, hope I said that name right. Please accept my apology if I did not. Asks if I use Clarisonic or Foreo, and if so, are they worth the hype? I do not use either one anymore. I have experimented with both. For a while, I was using the Clarisonic for men, and I wasn't using that because the women's version or the main version is any different, really. Because I was using the men's version with the cashmere brush head. I found the brush head. I got the men's Clarisonic as a gift from a friend of mine, and I figured, what the heck, I'll give it a try. I've heard a lot of things about them, both pro and con. I know a lot of people swear by them, and if you're using the Clarisonic or another facial type cleansing device, and you're using the gentlest or second gentlest brush head that they offer, I think that is fantastic. I think with me and my experience with the Clarisonic and with the Foreo, which I tried briefly because I was curious as to what those little silicone nubbies would do, I just didn't find that it made a big difference. And it took more time to use, more time in the shower. It was just not as expeditious an experience of putting cleanser in my hand and lathering it around my face for a good 30 seconds or so and then rinsing. So that's just my personal story. If you like using them though, and again, if you're using that gentle brush head or similar in the Foreo, because I think they have different degrees of texture, that's great. If you find that it's making a difference for you, stick with it. All right, let's take one more question. Oh, Monica, I'm glad you like the body butter too as a hand cream. Who's crossed? We haven't. I'm trying to see if there's some new names here. Okay, got that. Oh, this is a good one from Michelle from earlier in the broadcast. Michelle says, I've heard and read that antioxidants mixed in with sunscreen are essentially wasted and can't penetrate through the sunscreen to the skin. Can you comment on this? Well, of course, I've got an idea. I haven't seen any research showing that's true. The research I've seen on antioxidants in sunscreen formulations has largely been complementary, meaning that when antioxidants are added to a sunscreen, they actually help make the active ingredients more effective, and they also help neutralize the reactive oxygen species, that type of free radical that UV light can generate. And there are some sunscreen ingredients that can get a little too excited in the presence of UV light and start spitting out some of those free radicals of their own, antioxidants can step in and neutralize those sunscreen-induced free radicals before they can damage the skin. That is another big reason I love seeing antioxidants in the product. In terms of their ability to help strengthen skin's environmental defenses, I know I've mentioned this before, but remember that no sunscreen, regardless of its SPF rating, is 100% effective at screening out UV light. Even an SPF 50 and SPF 70 is still letting about 2% of UV light through. Unfortunately, it's not a lead blanket or a completely invisible shield for your skin. Some UV light gets through, but I would rather 2% get through or 3% get through than 100%, and I hope you would agree with that. But antioxidants can step in and help to further neutralize that tiny amount of UV light that can creep through, and that the sunscreen actives can't protect us from. The antioxidants can help step in and neutralize some of that damage before it goes deeper, which is another reason. Green tea, vitamin C, vitamin E, pomegranate, ellagic acid, which is from pomegranate extract, resveratrol from grapes, EGCG from green tea. Those are all great antioxidants to see. And there's some synthetic ones as well that can really help in the presence of UV light. So I don't buy it. Can't penetrate through the sunscreen to the skin. In the case of antioxidants and sunscreen, that's another good point to make, is that I haven't seen any research showing that they can't penetrate to get to the skin, but there certainly is an argument or a side that could be made that you don't necessarily want the antioxidants in a sunscreen to penetrate too far into the skin when they're doing their best work, in this case, on the surface. And then the other products that first of all, make sure that a sunscreen with antioxidants isn't the only source of antioxidants in your skincare routine. You need other sources. And so, for example, what I've been doing lately that I find has been working really, really well, even for my, and especially for my skin type, is underneath my sunscreen in the morning, and I wear a mineral SPF 50, pure mineral. I have been cocktailing the Resist C15 Super Booster and our new earth-sourced Powerberry serum, which is super rich in the really potent polyphenolic antioxidants that are found in natural berries. It's just a fantastic serum. It layers beautifully, and I've just really noticed my skin has taken an uptick in looking healthier and more radiant. So it's always interesting when I do new experiments with our products where I'll sometimes get to the point where I think, okay, realistically, right now, this is about as good as it gets. And believe me, I'm not looking at myself thinking, you look perfect. It's not like that at all. But I get to the point with my routine where I think, I'm kind of coasting on this and this is good. I'm riding this wave and I'm happy. And then I'll try something new and it kind of like, boop, bumps it up a level. And I'm like, I catch sight of myself and I think, my skin really does look healthier. I'm not just imagining this. And so I'm really loving that combination. And I think that is a great way, just to close out this topic and this week's live chat, that is a great way to ensure that the antioxidants in your sunscreen are doing their job in terms of helping the sunscreen actives, in terms of neutralizing those free radicals that the little bit of UV light exposure that peeks through can trigger. And then you've got your second layer of defense, so to speak, with those antioxidant-rich serums or treatment products that you layer underneath your sunscreen. Those are the ones that you really want to penetrate further into the skin. And let the antioxidants in sunscreen, again, I'm not saying that none of them penetrate. I don't know that that's true. But from a formulation perspective and from a benefit perspective, I think you'll get more if those antioxidants in the sunscreen are kind of dancing that dance on your skin's surface rather than going further into the skin where you're leaving the surface a bit more vulnerable, if that makes sense. I hope it does, because I feel like I've been rambling on this. I do get excited about these topics. I love the concept or all the research about antioxidants. It's just continually fascinating. So with that, I'm going to bid you farewell. I'm going to thank you so much for watching. I'll be back next week if all goes well. And do check out the link I posted there about the TerraCycle program from Paulos Choice, and take a peek at our new Super Hydrate Overnight Mask and let me know what you think. Until next time.